All right, we are live for the actual second Sunday for November 2022. I am Jessica Alstrom. If you're hearing me for the first time, I have been teaching for years all about how to access higher levels of consciousness and clear basically what is in the way of you not totally believing and embodying that you are pure abundance and freedom. I have an international online academy that I have been teaching for, I don't know, feels like forever, but solid for 12 years. And we are in over 103 countries. That is called Quantum Method. And now I have embarked in a whole new exploration of the embodiment of that higher level of consciousness. And that is a huge biohacking project that we're working on called Quantum Fitness and the Alchemist Apothecary Worldwide Centers. So we are in the presence of future and we are building it as we go. We are learning on the job. We are course correcting. We're engaging and working with the plot twists. And if you have made it to November, you are probably both simultaneously with all the different fractal consciousnesses that you are simultaneously exhausted. You are burnt out. You are probably overwhelmed. You are shifting and changing. You are learning how to let go. You are learning how to not take so much score of your journey thus far. You're probably becoming a little bit more kind to yourself because you've been put in situations where you are all you have. You are realizing a lot about the idea and definition of what family means. And you probably at this point are starting to, because you have to, are using the very fertilizer that your circumstances are sitting in as fuel and potential for more. And that's what really brings us here to November of 2022. For this year, we have called it the Root Awakening. And it is because for so many years on this journey, your spiritual journey, anyways, or your waking up journey, or your conscious journey, or your empowerment journey, has been all about really understanding that subconscious perspective of yourself. You know, what is the you? Who is the you below the surface? And really kind of tying up questions about who and why and what, and this course that you've been on and how it's changed many times and how you thought the idea of enlightenment looked a certain way. And then you probably fell back down into a big body of pain for a while. And then you pulled yourself out and had a whole new understanding of yourself. And probably at this point, you are like, what is next? Well, lucky for all of us, the work that we have been doing, whether it's intentional or not, I think that every single person that is working to care more about how they feel, and still, after everything that the planet has gone through and the collective is going through, still focusing on joy and the idea of happiness, not just in the moment, but as a lifestyle. We really are, we're at our end here. We're at our end. I always say that if you end up biohacking with me, you are not at the beginning. You are 99% done. And really, it's about closing the gap. It's about taking the leap of not necessarily faith, but it's 100% courage right now. It is asking that all this work that you have done, that you actually put into use. Everything you've studied, use it. Everything you've been trained for, share it, right? And if you are still kind of feeling like you're behind, or you need to learn one more thing, or you're still shaking your head at some of the choices that you're making, then it's okay. But really, where we're going as a collective is we're moving into a state of non-duality. And that is what I will be focusing on in my classrooms and in my centers for 2023 and on. Because the idea of duality basically means you have to give something to get something. In the idea of the old paradigm, it is lose something to get something. You lose time for money, right? You lose sometimes self-respect for love. Sometimes you lose freedom for love. Sometimes you lose friends for choosing yourself. And if you are still feeling that separation of choice, then you are still playing in that duality game, and that is fine. duality basically means dual, right? It's a face-off. And although we are growing back into ourselves, right, after you searching for love and searching for success and searching for money and searching for connections and searching for home and searching for our tribe, we realize that it's literally sitting right in this body that we have been assigned to for this particular incarnation. Every single friend and family and mother and father and piece of abundant freedom is literally within you. And it's, of course, the last place we've looked because it was the first place we used when we got here and we were shamed and guilted for it. So the very idea of a collective being shamed and guilted for their own divine voice and power. Yes, we were loud. Yes, we had opinions. Yes, we had questions. Yes, we were all over the place, like children are, right? And we were birthed into a very exhausted, fear-based collective. Now, I had a terrible headache a couple of weeks ago. And it was one of those that literally you just want to close your eyes and be in a dark room because that was how I felt. And it was interesting that that's kind of what I was craving. I was like, I just want to be in a dark room, a cool, dark room right now. And when your head is throbbing that hard, really the worst possible thing you could do is have really bright sunlight just hitting your face. And I, of course, had to take my kids to school. And it was one of those really extra annoying when you're in pain, bright mornings, and we're driving right into the sun. And I'm thinking to myself, like, sunglasses are not helping. I'm too short for the visor, right? And I'm thinking, gosh, like, how annoying this is. How frustrating it is that I wish in this moment, I wish it was a dark, gloomy, foggy, overcast day because that's how I felt. And then I thought instantly, because there's always a couple people in there, I thought, wow, this is probably how your mom felt when you were born, right? And you were bright, annoying sunlight that were just happy to be here and happy to feel all the feelings and happy to ask for everything through desire. And, and we're born into a collective with a really bad headache, over practicing this desire with not a lot of success. Self-pressure is what defines an emotional headache. And I thought to myself, wow, I can really feel that in this moment, how annoying I must have been to her. And I had grace for her. I had understanding because I think that this generation and the generation we are creating here with our kids and our grandkids are really about the unapologetic sunlight, the unapologetic brightness, the curiosity, the non-dualistic nature of the androgynous child that is being born here now. This idea of 5D has always been where you practice choice. That is what 5D is for. It is the threshold that prepares you from the boot camp of your third dimensional hell and your fourth dimensional walk through the shadow of that hell. Your fifth dimensional experience is about learning, discerning, and realizing that regardless whether you had a choice or not when you were a kid or that last horrible abusive relationship, you do now. And a lot of times we don't know what we want unless we know what we don't want. And we definitely do. We definitely know as a collective of empaths and sensitive beings what we do not enjoy, what we do not like. But sometimes we have a headache and we want the dark room. We want the absence of the light because that is the vibration that we are capable of in that moment. And so if you have studied any form of religion, at least that man could have indoctrinated or cooked up, then every religion starts with the understanding that everything was created in the dark. Everything, including you, was created in absolute darkness. How could you, this bright sun, be created in total darkness? Well, the book that I have read to my class numerous times, Little Soul in the Sun, Neil Donald Walsh, It says, I want to be the light. And God says, you are. I know, but I want to shine. I know you are. The only way that you can truly shine and to truly be unique as the light is to be surrounded in darkness. And so if you're feeling like you are in darkness right now or have been in darkness, I want you to understand that you put yourself there for a very specific reason. Some call it dark night of the soul. Some call it rock bottom. Some call it bankruptcy. Some call it divorce. Some call it starting over. Some call it, flatlining. Some people call it a near-death experience. Some people call it a disease, right? Some people call it plant medicine aftermath. Regardless of where you are, I can guarantee you have had those moments, those days, those weeks, maybe even those seasons. And you have come back to yourself in those times. That has been your greatest quantum leap, and you could not debate me on that. Because in those moments of the darkest, darkest, darkest places, you probably only had yourself. Or a person, place, or thing that reminded you of love unconditionally. A pet, nature, right? An amazing person, a book, a movie, a song. The encoding of love itself was probably the flashlight that assisted you in remembering that if you're going to recreate your life, you're not going to do it from the broken pieces that life has handed you. You're going to require a reset. You're going to require a retrograde. You're going to require an eclipse. You're going to require all of the things that are in perfect alignment in this now moment. All of the things required for you to start again mean that you have to go back into the dark where all things are created. This is why your darkness is the most important tool, and I have all of my students right now avidly studying the dark side of their moon in astrology, because it is in those darker places you learn the last few pieces of the you, the alchemist, that is buried in what is wrong or right or good or bad. It is in those dark places where you remember losing love, losing loved ones, losing hope, losing faith, losing time, losing your life, losing what you thought your life would be, losing business, losing connections, losing attachments, losing things within your body that you thought you might have needed, right? Losing children. We have lost so much to be found. Why is it like this? Some of you ask. Some of you ask me, why? This is so ridiculous that it has to be set up this way. Actually, if God told you, hey, you're an infinite being of source, which means that you're moving at the speed of light and sound in multiplication of that, and you are everything all at once. Would you like to slow that down and feel every single emotion there is? Would you like to taste and touch and feel? And although you are love, would you like to experience receiving it? And although you are love, would you like to experience sharing a unique version of it? And you were like, hell to the yes. Because in your life that is 60 to 100 years, hopefully, it's a blip. It's a blip in not even time for you to have this incarnation. And although it feels slow and petty and boring at times and scary, and sometimes it feels like it's going too fast, you have probably by now, if you haven't medicated yourself too far, you have gotten to feel every human experience there is. Now, you get to choose. Who am I, and what has this pain birthed within me? I know with everything inside of me that if I would have had a nice, cozy, feathered nest and two loving parents and, food that I could count on and a roof over my head that I could actually count on month by month, I probably wouldn't be talking to you. I probably would be still in that comfort zone and very tight in that bubble of comfortability. But in the discomfort comes the call, comes the questions, comes the search, comes the study, comes to the inner reflection. It comes to a point where without the dark times, there is no growth. And without fertilizer, there is no nature. So, where are you now? What is dark right now? Is your money story still dark, right? And when I mean dark, I mean unable to see clearly, without flow, without joy, without bliss. When there is an absence of light, you don't know what's in there. You don't know what's coming. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's waiting for you, except you do know what you've been, what you've seen and witnessed in others, what you observed, what you've practiced, what you've avoided, what you've disassociated from. And you believe that that is what is waiting for you in the dark, because you're not afraid of love. You're not afraid of relationships. You're afraid of your last heartbreak happening again. You're not afraid to start your own business. You're afraid to fail. You're afraid to count on yourself. You're not afraid of money, and you don't hate money. You don't like how it's used on this planet, probably, and you don't like who's in charge of it. But the idea of creative freedom is a joyful thought. So right now, with basically November and December left in this calendar year, it is up to us to take the darkness that still remains within our particular lives. I'm not talking about the spiritual concept of the world war and, what is happening in other countries and what is happening in someone else's paper and in someone else's lane, but how all of those things are affecting your now. And how the things that are affecting your now you can use as a measurement, as a platform, as the best fertilizer that you could utilize to grow. And the only ingredient that's required for the rest of this year is to be courageous and grow out of it. Not grow with it, but grow out of it. Because where you came from might be painful. You might have been sent here to break your entire bloodline of pain. You might have pedophiles in your family and rapists and criminals, and you might have all kinds of negative war sitting in your blood, in your timeline, in your lineage, in your ancestry. But none of that is who you are. And so not only do you have a choice, you might have a mission. And if you have, done your best to be the glue of your family and been the one blamed for all the mess, I guarantee that you are here to change the script. It stops with you, because how you parent or how you nurture or how you love determines whether that course continues or you become a big link in the chain that breaks the momentum of the past creating itself over and over again. And I know it hurts, and I know you take it personally, and I know you wish things were different. But from the other side, when you get to absolute non-dualistic choice, you realize that you're really grateful for being in that much darkness and have that much potential sitting inside of you. And when you become your best friend, your own lover, your own soulmate, your own mother, your own father, your own inner child, your own genius, your own curiosity, your own guru, you realize that every single thing you've been chasing was because you were running away from a belief that you weren't all of those things. And the relationships that you're in right now are either a reflection of what you are running from, or they are pain that you have yet to process, or they are the treasure at the end of the rainbow. You can take a real solid observer's perspective of your life right now and see what is calibrated back into love. Where is their flow? Where is the absence of light? Where do you still feel stuck and blocked? Because the true definition of trauma just means separate from self. Every trauma has pushed you away from yourself. But everything that you truly are remains in a non-dualistic space which means regardless of the third dimensional game you've been playing or not, your higher self has always been playing in non-duality. It has always been playing in the perfect of isness, the perfect of timing, the perfect circumstances for that perfect moment of growth. It has used every negative in your reality as a shortcut to bring you back to yourself. It uses darkness to grow you, to remind you, to reset you. The greatest example I can give you for this is that you were incarnating into a reality that had a predetermined game plan, which means the game of separation. This whole entire collective is designed to separate you from yourself. Absolutely. Separate you from your ideas of what success and love are and indoctrinate you and spoon feed you in what is socially acceptable. So as you have been bumped away from yourself, probably solidly by the time you were 7 years old, you had to create an alter ego to use as a bridge, to use as connection. One, to send messages to higher self, and two, to be a part of this collective that you didn't resonate with. You weren't quite all of your higher self, and you weren't quite all of your lower self, and that's what your ego has been parenting through that perspective, using fear and guilt and humiliation as a way to keep you doing the right thing. All right? But those dark nights, those bankruptcies, those loss of friendships, that judgment that you're getting, poured on you right now, the judgment you may have for others, you can use all of it, every ounce of it. You can turn every negative thing right now in your reality into a shortcut. The darkness is the quantum leap. So when you write me and say, how do I quantum leap into my abundance and joy? Well, are you ready to go into the dark? Because if you were created from a mold of the third dimensional reality against your will, against your so-called choice, and conditioned into a reality that says you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't, right? And beauty is in the eye of the beholder and it isn't about how you see yourself, then you're going to probably find yourself hitting patches of darkness once you awaken. Why? Well, your soul knows that the only way to get you back to who you really are, your factory reset, is to put you back into the dark. Because in the dark, everything can be new. Everything can go back to the 0 point, go back to the medium, the balance. The absolute beginnings must start in the dark. And so maybe you have been placing yourself there. Maybe in your money, you keep placing yourself in the dark. Maybe with your time, you keep putting yourself in the dark. Maybe in your relationships, you keep putting yourself in the dark. And I know it doesn't feel like you're putting yourself there, but you are. And maybe you keep putting yourself in the dark with your own health so that you, from a aware, maybe exhausted, surrender-based space, can say, I choose to be me. The me before the world told me no. The me who is curious and is loud and is opinionated and is loving and is kind and is brave and is allowed to be here. Maybe the pressure that is pushing you into the dark is your reset. Your birthdays that you have are loaded with shadow elements to remind you that when you were born here, that's not the building that you want to take into the new world. You don't want to take this computer. You don't want to take this body that was built against your will, out of the word no, from aspects of I'm not allowed, into choice, freedom, expansion, abundance. You would not want to take a broken home and put it into this new world. You wouldn't want to take a broken child and put it into a new world. So what you're doing right now is you're using this year of the rude awakening and all of our, our retrogrades and microwaves and all these things. You're using every aspect that you consider negative. Your highest self from a space of non-duality is using that as leverage. Very soon, you will start using that as leverage. Because if a situation is not resolving by now, it is because you're avoiding the darkness of it. You're avoiding the fact that it's a reset button. You're avoiding the fact that if you're in the dark, it must mean I failed, or I have to start over, or I don't have all my shit together. But the point is, if you look at the idea of having your shit together in fertilizer, I think you have your shit together. You have every ounce of fertilizer that you need right now. And if you're focused on the drama of it, if you're still getting mad at your partner, if you're still getting mad at your mom and your dad for your life that you're sitting in right now, then you are turning your back without gratitude and kind of a sense of entitlement that somehow those things are not supposed to be affecting you like they are everyone else. Because if your partner feels like manure, grow. I didn't say grow away, grow out of, but grow to your bigger self. Because if you're in drama of anything, if you're still hating on someone, if you're still in judgment of something someone did 5 years ago, if you're still pointing fingers, if you're still blaming someone or something for the choices that you're making, then you haven't accepted the darkness. You haven't accepted the fertilizer as your miracle grow. You have not accepted the fact that is the very thing, the very ingredient that you will use to grow out of it. Because it is only till the seed pops through the ground in its most vulnerable space, through the duress and the pressure of that seed exploding in the absolute fertilizer, you're really not going to even know what you truly desire, because most of your desires right now are coming from lack. You desire something because it's a lack of it. But if there's a lack of it, all that means is that that part of you, that component, that ingredient is somehow separate. The darkness will bring you back to those pieces. It will bring you back to wholeness. And every time you've been in a dark night, you've had the opportunity to start again more whole, more loving, at least for self, more allowing, because you've been forced to go with the flow. I hear this a lot. Well, I just go with the flow. Well, whose flow? Are you going with your family's flow? Because that flow is not going to take you to your abundance of freedom. You've got to find your flow. You've got to find your way. You've got to find the use of this idea of non-duality and start working it as your advantage, because non-duality is your greatest tool to build and to have prosperity in this new world, right? You may see the world as imploding and getting worse and worse and worse and worse. But the ones of us that are living in a non-dualistic state, at least practicing ourselves, getting ourselves there, are seeing that without that, there isn't a shortcut. This would take a lot longer if the world wasn't going absolutely crazy right now. This would take longer, because when we are comfortable, we don't do anything except focus on more comfort, right? When we're addicted to something, all we do is focus on how to get more of it. So it is usually when something is taken away from you, you realize you never needed it, right? And I'm not saying that grief doesn't hurt, and I'm not saying that loss hasn't destroyed parts of ourselves, but that is what needs to happen, is the part of you that can hurt, the part of you that believes that your heart can break, probably needs to die. So the new you becomes invincible, becomes a sense of immortality, and realizes that the higher vibration you are, from the other side of the veil, no one dies at all. Because when someone leaves this plane and goes to the next, their voice is a lot more clear and a lot more loving and a lot more allowing, because they do not hold pain inside of the biochemistry, and they do not have emotions that they are slaved to. And so most of the people who you've lost to the other side are working with you to help you navigate this experience. Because in this idea of non-duality, you're going to take the mess, the shiz, the problems, the lack, the suffering, the illness, the pain, and you're going to use it as fuel. And there isn't a plan B. So you can resist it, and you can have another year of the rude awakening, or you can let go, back up, start looking at your life as an observer, and start to see the piles, the mess, the overwhelm as an opportunity. And yeah, there is going to be a learning curve on the rules of non-duality, but the idea of non-duality is that everything is perfect. Everything in this now moment is going to take you to the future moment that you choose. Because if you're not choosing this moment, then you are allowing a last version of you to choose your future moment. It's a big year. It's been a really big year. And I don't know a single person that I have chatted with in, I don't know, so many countries, so many time zones that isn't going through their own version of this. In your holographic universe, you have to master one level in order to truly go to the next. It's not like, when's 5D going to get here? When is the abundance? I've helped over 1,000 people. Where's my abundance? Well, if one of those people out of 1,000 isn't you, you're probably not going yet, because the final frontier is to treat you, yourself, as well as you have treated strangers and some of your family members, right? Because intimacy means intimacy I see. And so if we're treating absolute strangers better than our families, then we're probably not treating ourselves, which is the ultimate family, as well as our clients, right? Or as well as our employees, or whatever you want to call it. It's going to have to be a reconciliation through intervention of the relationship between the me, myself, and I. Because your ego has gotten to play this version of higher self for a really long time. It's been a helicopter parent. Don't go out there, you might get hurt. Don't start a business, you might get everything taken. Don't get a lot of money, right? Don't have time, because if you have time, you're selfish. You've got to start making up your own rules, right? Yes, you want to learn the rules so you can learn how to beat the game. Yes, you want to understand the rules so you can understand how to break them legally. This isn't about waiting for the new world to be here. This is about taking where you are, whatever version of hell you're sitting in, and making heaven on earth right there out of nothing. You've heard this. Start with where you are, with what you have, and what you know, right? Worst comes to worst, you play the duality game. What's the opposite of this moment? Because I feel bad in this moment, which means it's not a vibrational match to me. So I bet you my higher self is in the other vibration. I'm in fear, and my higher self is in joy. Yay, they're afraid. They're going to awaken, because pain is your teacher until you let go. Until you use every ounce of pain as a positive, you'll keep getting pain as in resistance. The things that you're latched onto because you truly believe you need them, your job, your person, your family, your kids, will become manure for you eventually. Because even the things that you say you absolutely love, if you are feeding your life through force energy through a surrogate to be love or to receive love, they will turn into fertilizer for you to teach you soon too. So the very money you have might end up being or feeling like a pile of crap, right? The job that you used to love because it helped you pay your mortgage no longer motivates you, all right? If you are being petty, if you are blaming people for not emotionally supporting you, you're playing too small. If you are getting caught up in what someone isn't doing or being for you, you're playing too small. If you are focused on the state of the world to determine whether you are safe or not, you are playing too small. And when I say small, I don't mean that in a negative way. I just mean that the seed inside of you is using your circumstances not to grow. All right? So, okay, you can take it. Mm-hmm. So really our message for November of 2022, right? There's an interesting word hidden in that word November. No, right? You can use that, the word no, as a quantum leap this month. What are you ready to say no to? Who are you ready to say no to? What keeps getting in the way of the quality time spent with yourself to learn more about why and how you're going to use this darkness to recreate and 0 point yourself into your greatest quantum leap? All right. So I have decided at the end of this year, I've been teaching the Advanced Alchemy class, which is a master class designed to help people embody all of their fractal elements through of separation. I mean, separation, it's like a duh. We know these parts of us. This is why you're different with this person and different with this person, and you're really great as a practitioner, but you can't rub two nickels together and you can't make money. It's because there's different aspects of you living completely different lives within your own life. And the Alchemy Masterclass was us basically getting to know all of those different versions of us and integrating them back into one. The unity idea has to first start with the me and myself and I integrating and being all on the same page, becoming the pyramid, becoming the strongest force in the universe. And with the integration of the me, myself, and I, that's where your Kundalini energy is going to mix with your pineal gland. And within that vibration, you start to become superhuman. Because the idea of mastering 5D is about remembering choice. And gravity is a choice, and time is a choice, and space is a choice. But if you don't feel like those things are choices, because you still have to go to your job, then you might need another year of fertilizer, all right? You might need to go in a closed box with heavy moisture, complete darkness, and get the mold going, just like how we grow our mushrooms, all right? So looking at your life as that, it's an opportunity every day. And the work that we did in the Master Alchemy class and the work that we've been doing in quantum fitness to biohack the body out of separation into unity has produced more results this last year than I've probably seen in 12 years of my work teaching spiritual concepts. Down and dirty, right? In the body, you're not getting to 5 and 6D without this body. You cannot keep abandoning this thing and move out of the first program because you've got to lighten up, which means you've got to let go of the density that is sitting in your biochemistry, which means that you don't just lighten up in your meditations and in your thoughts, you lighten your body up. And I don't mean that with the fasting or losing a bunch of weight, but letting go of years of stored poison and swallowed emotion that's unprocessed, that has been avoided because of the trauma point, that has deregulated your nervous system, that has messed up your gut, that has messed with your lungs, definitely messed with your head. And when you go back into that space of reconnaissance and the integration of all your alchemies, you become the alchemist. And the alchemist is one who turns, right, lead into gold or carbon into crystal, which is you. This is where we're heading as a collective. It's not going to get easier until you start using the hard and the dirty and the dark and the heavy and the scary as not your teacher, but as your fuel. What can I build from this? What can I do with this? What can I create with this? How can I help people from this? How can I help myself from this? How can I understand myself more? Because in the beginning, there was all darkness. And then there was you. And your higher self is going to keep taking you to this darkness until you start using it correctly. When we do our biohacking work, we go into the first room, which is called the 0 point room, and it's a physical embodiment where we open up all of our baggage, all of our old emotional traumas in a very safe, loving space using light, sound, temperature, and basically quantum hypnosis. And we get everything exposed, and then we go into the dark. Into the dark so that you can reclaim choice, right? We're going to be opening up these centers all over the planet. We are starting to attract the right people who can hold this kind of space in these centers all around the world. And it's pretty exciting times that we're in because that means our playground is going to get a lot bigger. And when the playground of non-duality gets bigger, it starts to draw attention. And when it starts to draw attention, you realize that there's another way to live. And you don't have to keep letting go of something to get something. You don't have to keep holding on to a bad relationship because it's been your best relationship. You don't have to hold on to an illness to get attention and love. You don't have to hold on to a job for security. You can let go. You can let go and you can fall. Children fall and they don't get hurt. Adults, we'd break our fall, and we never let ourselves go all the way down into the dark night. And if we did, we would have less of them because we would have learned quicker. But we become entitled when our needs and our comfort isn't met. And therefore, one of the things that I've seen about the unconscious community is it is literally entitlement poverty. It is the most arrogant, insecure, and that's, look at that polarity right there. Arrogant and insecurity, right? Deserving and entitled, yet completely in lack. Do you want to be in that category moving forward? Or do you want to just be abundant? Do you just want to focus on the beauty that is your unique way to shine your light? You have a choice here. This is going to get easier, I promise you. If you look at the darkness as fuel, as a diving board out of potential, look at the lack of money as your greatest investor. Look at your disease as your greatest way to become a healer. Look at the imbalance of your relationship to find your own imbalance. Non-duality is going to first put you back into balance, and then you're going to soar. When you're in survival, all you're doing is finding a way to survive your whole life. When you're balanced, you can start building on top. And that's what we're doing. We are doing that with a collective of people all over. Maybe your neighbor next door is doing this and you don't even know. You think that weirdo is doing something weird. Who knows? They might be building a brand new playground for you. Because the new leaders of this world are the farmers and the teachers and the healers and the misfits and the video game players and the coders and the outlaws and the alchemists. We will be leading this new planet in a movement where we use every element that this earth has to offer as fertilizers and tools and potential, because that's what it's always been for the rest of nature. Nature has always used the darkness of nature as a tool for expansion. Always. So the collective of humans playing the non-duality game have been literally living on a planet in non-duality where the animals, maybe not your pets because they're indoctrinated into your ego by now, but the animals, the nature, the wild, has always lived in non-duality. And that's why when you go out there, even though nature can be extreme, you feel good because that's who you really are. So I hope some of you join us next year in our non-duality classroom. It will be a year-long class. You can sign up on my website, jessicaalstrom.com. I probably will be taking 2 mentorships next year just because I don't have enough time to take my usual load. And I am opening up these biohacking centers and these true apothecaries equipped with ancient plant medicine and the future of quantum medicine through frequency and sound, all available to you in a storefront without any apologies for who we are. So I hope you join me or the crusade that is out there, whether it's me or someone else like me that is saying the same things, because I'm telling you, the way out is the way through. The black hole is the shortcut. All right. The wormhole, which makes the earth a living library, why she's so abundant to the rest of the universe and multiverses is because of her access points. And you too have those same access points. So I hope you choose you. You are your greatest investment, but you've got to start where you are with what you have and what you know, and utilize every blind spot, every scar, every broken heart, every bankruptcy, every money failure, every horrible job, every narcissistic partner as fuel to grow. I'll see you next month for our final thoughts on 2022 and getting ready for the resurrection of a quantum being that is based in her own biochemistry and his own biochemistry, as we basically balance divine feminine and masculine into this new human that is capable of growth anywhere. All right. So I'll see you guys soon. Check out my website for more information. If you think, well, maybe I need to do the alchemist class first, go ahead. That's why it's archived. It's called the Alchemist Masterclass, and that's what we've been doing all of 2022. There is a virtual quantum fitness if you want to learn how to biohack at home. If you want to come see me in one of our studios, please reach out, and you can get me directly at quantumfitjess@gmail, or you can register on my website for information from our team there, our global team there in Ireland. Or you can look up where you can find a way to get your own biohacking center, or just reach out for me for a quick biohacking analysis. Jess, where the hell am I in my journey? Well, let me tell you, it's pretty simple. Reach out, get yourself a free session with me, and let's get this work done, because you really have done 99% of it if you can hear my voice. Well, until next month, guys, enjoy the fertilizer.